Good day everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylin and this is Foundation First. Our aim at Foundation First is to empower both parents and teachers to provide children with learning opportunities through developmentally appropriate avenues. In today's video, we are going to be wrapping up the discussions that we have been having on my Instagram talking about conscious discipline. Now, conscious discipline is exactly what its name suggests. Thinking consciously about how we are disciplining the children. This includes discipline at school and discipline at home. Now, one thing when talking about discipline, I want mostly parents to understand. The word discipline seems to have a bad rep at the moment. Just because we say discipline doesn't mean it's something that is angry. It's what I say goes. It's not screaming and shouting. In fact, conscious discipline is exactly the opposite. Conscious discipline speaks about being conscious about the child's intention, conscious about our reaction, and conscious about how we're going to move forward with the learning opportunity that comes with this. If there's a situation where a child knocks something over, conscious discipline is considering the learning outcome of the situation and empowering the children to learn from this moment. If a child knocks something over, you can go to the child. Even if we are having a very bad day, we can go to the child, take a deep breath and speak about how we're going to fix it. The obvious answer would be to clean it up. To run after the children and clean up after them is not empowering them to look after themselves and then also to look after their environment. We don't want children just to look after themselves all the time. We are empowering children in an age-appropriate and developmentally appropriate way to look after their surroundings and themselves. Another example will be if two children get into an argument. What's very common in a preschool space is one child maybe hurting, smacking, kicking, etc. another child. This is developmentally and age appropriate. The younger they are, the more it will happen. But as they touch on 6 years old, 7 years old, then it should almost be gone. And it shouldn't happen at all. But considering we are talking about the preschool space, this is something we see often. And talking about conscious discipline, this is how one would approach the situation. Instead of ignoring the one child comes to you and speaks to you about that this person smacked me, then you have to bring both children to the situation and have a discussion. You lead by questioning, you let both children talk, and then you also come up with a solution to how to better handle it in the future. In conscious discipline, the idea is not to shout, to scream, to blame, or to ignore. We want this to be a learning experience for the children to be able to learn from this experience to do better in the future. Now, when conscious discipline becomes difficult, depending on your temperament and depending on how you were raised, may be more difficult or easier for you to practice conscious discipline inside your home or as a teacher. As a teacher, it is very important for us to learn from how we were taught ourselves and then to do better than to just reenact the way that we were taught or the way that we were disciplined when we were younger. Just repeating history is not how we do better. Parents, I know that it can be very hard sometimes. Conscious discipline isn't a perfect practice. We are humans at the end of the day, and yes, life can be very stressful and some days are easier than others. And this goes for teaching too. Some days are easier than others. There are going to be days where you do shout, you do blame, you do slip up, and that's okay. It is important to go back and think about and consider what had happened and apologize to the child if necessary. And then talk about how we can do better, you as an adult and the children in the future. For me as a teacher, on days that were very challenging for me, luckily I would have a second person in the room, and on days with children who were very challenging or which then coincide with a very challenging day for me, tag team with my co-teacher and if I was having a very hard time and I was about to explode, I would then be like, Tag, you're it, okay? I would then say, okay, I need to go for a walk. Please, can you take over? And vice versa. This is something that you can do if you are lucky enough to be a two-parent or two-adult household. It's important that in multiple adult households that everybody is brought in on a conscious discipline practice so that there's consistency, and it really helps if it is happening at school, that it is happening at home, and vice versa. Again, it's not a perfect practice. We are human, we make mistakes, and some days it's not going to happen. Some days it is going to be so hard. Some children are going to be harder to practice conscious discipline on than others. However, with those children, it is even more important. Again, this isn't to shame parents who get to a point where they just can't take it anymore. This is not what that is. It's hard being a parent. It's hard being a teacher. It's a stressful world. But at the end of the day, we try our best. We are here to create active participants in our society, to provide children with the emotional intelligence to do better in the future and learn from their mistakes, and to grow and to develop into mature children and mature adults. So that's about it from me. Thank you very much for joining me today on Conscious Discipline. If you have any questions or share stories, you can share down below. Remember to like this video. It shows the algorithm that you like what you see. Anyways, that's all from me, and I'll see you in my next one.